Hey guys, this morning I was going to use my graph, kind of run through some areas. I've had some questions on, what bass look like on your graph. Using it for offshore structure, things like that. What to look for. But I've got kind of an example. I'm going over this area where they usually school in the morning, and a lot of spotted bass. They're not real. I say probably like a pound and a half is usually what the size is in this particular area. But they school a lot here in the morning, and I was going to kind of show you. I've got them on my graph. I'm at about 18, 19 feet of water, and they are stacked in here. But let's pan over to it so you can see what it looks like. That is what bass look like when they're schooling. You can see over here, they're feeding. You can see all the kind of coming up, all the dots, but I mean, they're in there stacked pretty good. I mean, you probably could take a 10 foot, like a DT10, and just wear them out if you wanted to. Well, that's kind of what a bass look like when they're suspended, feeding. Now they're getting smaller, so we're probably a white bass, but there's some good lines in there, which were bass. Pretty neat though. Alright, well, let's go check a few other points out. Alright, we're about to go over a point that's it's out in the middle of the lake. And you can see on the contour lines it has a hump as well. So this, I kind of give you an idea, this is a long tapering point that has flats in it and that hump. But we're going to cruise over it. Alright, I can already see shad. See, we got shad balls. There's all the shad. And we're coming up on the hump now. On the point. Let's take a look at it. We're going to kind of do some zigzags on it. What I'm looking for fish associated to the point. Now this is going to be hard to do if you don't have some type of topo map like a Navionics card. Now, I mean, if you know the lake really well and you have fished it all your life, I mean, probably a Navionics card, you don't need it because you know where all the humps and points are. But if you're on a new lake, you got to have some type of Navionics, some type of thing to show you where contour lines are, where humps are, where points are. Alright, I want to go on the tip of this point here. So we got a few bass stacked in there, you can see them. There's a bass sitting on the end of that grass. So I would definitely stop and fish this. I would throw my marker buoy out. Basically what I would do is I'd go back over it. I'd get back on the tip of the point. Let it update for a second. And I'd probably throw my marker buoy out about right here, and that would tell me that I can fan cast to the left to hit the sharp breaks on the point, and then I can fan cast to the right to work deep coming back up shallow. But humps are always a good spot. If you can get a point with a hump on it, they're usually going to produce. But let's go check a few other places out. Alright, I'm about to go over. You can see I've marked brush there and here. But we're going to go over this brush pile. And this is a man-made brush pile. Somebody dumped it out. Whenever I go over, it looks like it's cedars. But let's cruise over it so you can kind of get a real good idea what bass look like in brush piles. If there are bass in there. But I've caught several spotted bass off of them. So we got some, there's a bass right there. That's a good size one too. And he's about 10 feet. Alright, getting a little bit shallower. Yeah, so there's some good definite bass swimming around, some good lines. Alright, here's the brush pile, there's the 2D. Let's see here. And you see the dots in it? Those are bigger dots, those are bass. Your brim are usually going to be associated on the bottom. There will be dots on the bottom, which I don't see many brim in there. Let's go look at another brush pile. Now when I'm shallow, I like to set my down view, my structure scan, on 800 kilohertz because you get a better image quality when you're shallow with the structure scan, and when you're in deeper water, you can back it down. All right, well, there's a big old cedar tree, and there's brim down there. You can see the little dots of the brim. But this is where I caught brim the other day, actually. There's another one right over here. All right. Well, there's some bass feeding. We're about to go over. Brush pile should be coming up pretty soon here. Maybe. There's some of it. There we go. Well, that's a good brush pile. When it's so thick like that, it's hard to even see anything. But okay, you see, here's a good example. See all them little dots right there? That's probably crappie. Or bass. It could be bass. It's hard to tell. But they're all stacked on the top of that brush. So that's a good picture right there. As you can see where the cursor is those fish are stacked on top of that brush pile. Alright, let's get back to live. Let's cruise back over it so we can see it. It's looking really good this morning. I'm driving around showing you guys this, but I really want to fish some of it here in a second. Alright, well, there's some shad scattered. Look at that. That's a pretty good picture too. So they're feeding on that. They're actively feeding on that shad. See how it's separated? It's not in a ball. It's not concentrated. It's all, I mean, it's just everywhere. That's what they're doing. They're feeding on them. If they're concentrated in a tight ball, then nothing's really ambushing them or scaring them. But when they get kind of scattered out like that, you know that that's an active area. Looks pretty good. These are probably bass actually here, those 3 dots. That's a good looking shot right there. There's some shad balls. That's my wash from where I just came through. But there's bass in here feeding on them. Pretty neat. Well guys, that's kind of areas that I run over when I'm fishing offshore structure. I like to look for open water humps, points, things like that. That's where your contour map, your topo map comes into play. If you don't know an area, if you fished it all your life, you're probably going to know the lake, or it may even been formed while it was, you know, before they dammed it up, or you know, it became a lake, so you kind of know the area. But if you're fishing a new body of water or an existing body of water that you're not comfortable with, that's where your topo map really comes into play, and you can find those humps and points. And then once you get on your humps and points, just cruise around them until you see ideal situations where you know, kind of sitting on the side of the humps, or because they're going to associate to one side of the hump or the other if they're going to be there. Look for your bait fish, your balls of bait fish, because if shad there, ambush predatory fish is going to be close by. Kind of showed you what schooling fish look like when they're all packed in there together. So hopefully you guys learned something. I'm probably forgetting something. I'm sorry if I am. If you guys like the video, hit the little like button and be sure to subscribe. But until then, I'm going to fish around. There's a lot of areas that look pretty good today. I'm just going to fish around and see what we can't do. So until then, we'll see you guys. You gotta see something. Pretty crazy. I caught him. As soon as I caught him, he spit out all these shad. Check it out. See all the shad in the water? He just spit them out of his mouth. Fat belly.